Bay of Plenty floods, is there any continuation as far as that situation is concerned?
Yeah, like a lot of the natural disasters, the government have stepped in along with IRD to try and sort of help the people out that are up there. They've put an order in council through which says that any use of money interest charged will be remitted. So that's a bit of a saving, especially when you can't pay on time, that sort of thing.
Use of money is when you don't make your payments on time.
Yeah, so basically IRD say, well, you used our money, so we're going to charge you interest. So it's a bit like the bank charging on an overdraft. But they've said in this case, because it's not your fault, then we'll remit that. But you've got to prove that you were affected by the floods. So you can't just say, well, I'm in the Bay of Plenty, I've been affected.
There'll be those who will try.
There will be, there always is. And the other side of it is that any late filing penalties, again, they'll cancel those when appropriate. And they've just sort of said, look, talk to your accountant if you're struggling to pay. And if you're a bit swamped with things, just talk to your accountant. They can talk to IRD and just liaise and keep them updated so they can keep the pressure off you while you recover.
The key is being able to prove that you were in fact affected.
Yes, definitely. You just can't say it. You've got to be able to show that your property was impacted in one way or another. Or if you're a rural business, for example, and all of a sudden all your customers have disappeared and you've got no cash flow, again, that would be an impact of the flood. So, yeah, you've got to look at what's happened to your business and try and talk to IRD about it.
That wouldn't be hard to prove, would it? Because you've got bank statements and cash flow.
Oh, exactly.
Situation.
Yeah. So if you're a rural business, that's simple. You can say, look, I had all these bookings, they've all cancelled, I've got nothing in my bank account, give me a hand sort of thing, give me a chance.
Or the other thing is all the expenses to replace the fences.
Exactly.
You've got those as well.
Exactly. So it's pretty evident as to what the impact would be.
IRD moving on people who aren't playing the game.
Yeah, so we've got a couple of little tax cases come out recently, and there's some messages in there that people got to think about. The first one was we've got a plasterer, not farm related, but he's pocketed cash from doing various jobs, and so he's received 8 months home detention. It was a substantial amount of tax that he had, but the IRD made the point that they've been advertising heavily and had a campaign about cash jobs and that sort of thing, and people have got to stop doing it. So there's a warning for people out there, if you are pocketing cash from anything you do, especially on the farm, so your hay sales, your stock sales, that sort of thing, think twice, because they will be keeping an eye out. They are coming after this sort of thing.
Cashies used to be very prevalent, but they don't seem to be now. I'm talking about sort of things happening, cutting down trees or whatever.
It's just about dried up because people just don't want to take that risk. It's policed pretty heavily. IRD have got the software now to benchmark, to see what people are doing. They know, and if they find one person doing it, they'll follow a trail and see if further down the track you were involved as well. So it's best to play it safe and actually declare that cash.
So the old saying of what's it going to cost me if I give you cash is gone.
Exactly, yeah.
Don't offer it.
You can try it, but it's not going to work. Most people are going to turn and say, look, it's not much difference. We're going to have to give you an invoice, so no point in doing it.
I'd love the people who write out a cash cheque and give it to
yes.
them.
Yeah, it doesn't work. And then the other case was we've got an Auckland restaurant where they did the same sort of thing. They pocketed a lot of cash, but also filed false income tax and GST returns. And again, they've been hit with home detention. But the point in there was their tax agent was involved as well. So they helped them create the situation to rip off IRD, basically.
So their tax agent wasn't a chartered accountant?
No, it wasn't a chartered accountant. So if you are looking to get your books and returns done, you should be looking for a chartered accountant, not a tax agent. Your tax agent is just someone that's registered with IRD and actually can file returns. They may not necessarily have the knowledge to do it right. Knowledge
is an amazing thing because end of the year, March has been and gone, and people are inclined to do their own tax returns.
Yes.
At their peril.
Yeah, I'd say if you're uncertain on any aspect of it, you need to stop and actually think about whether you should be doing it. If you've got a business or a farm, it's almost essential that you actually talk to your accountant to get it done, rather than you try and do it yourself, because you'll miss out on claims, you'll put the wrong things through, and you could potentially create a bigger mess for yourself than what you think, and potentially have an audit. And I know IRD are looking at people, they've been matching GST against income tax returns. If they're doing it themselves and they don't match, then they're coming after them via an audit mechanism.
You're asking for it, aren't you?
Yes, yep. You'll get yourself in trouble one way or another, so play it safe, put it in the hands of an accountant. It is going to cost, but it's going to save you in the long run.
Yeah, that's exactly. It may cost you now, but it's going to save a lot later on. Tell me about benchmarking.
Yeah, for a while, businesses, especially your town businesses, have been able to benchmark against each other. So you can say, well, what's my business doing compared to everyone else on key variables? With the way the technology has moved, any type of business can now do it. So if you're a rural business, you should be thinking about whether you should get this done. It allows you to see whether you've actually got some big holes in your business, or if you're doing it right or wrong. There's an example recently where someone did it and they found that they're paying more for their fuel than everyone else. So over 6 months, by making changes, they've been able to save over $15,000 worth of expense just by doing that benchmarking exercise.
So how do you get involved?
You talk to your accountant. The accountants have access to the service. Because they're doing your books, they've got your data already, so they can feed it in and compare it against others that are in the same industry as you.
So your what do you call it?
Our Tritech.
Tritech, I thought I think trifecta, but no, your Tritech is exactly what that is doing.
That's an example of what we can do. So we can say, we've got a lot of people on that. We can compare them within our own practice, and then we can compare them regionally and nationally as well. So you can get a good feel whether you're on the right track or not.
The neat thing about modern technology is you can service people in Northland or Southland or anywhere in between.
Indeed, we've got them up and down the country. And it's easy nowadays. You've got all the technology, you've got email, Skype, all sorts of services that make it easier to work with your accountant anywhere, anytime.
So it sort of blows the cover of saying, I'm sorry dear, I'm going into the accountant.
Yeah, it's almost not necessary now in the real world.
The boys can't use it anymore.
No, and
in fact, it's probably the women who actually do the accounts anyway.
Exactly,
so
it's easier to 9 times out of 10 just do it either over the phone or webcam, that sort of thing. We don't need all the paperwork that we used to have in the past.
Kerry, thank you very much indeed.